Welcome back to Radio Faces at our Houston Community College Main Street studios. I'm John McClain from the Chronicle, chron.com, and Sports Radio 610. Andy Kalu, you can hear him all week on Sports Radio 610. He played 12 years defensive end in the NFL. He's played in the Super Bowl, and he's been to championship games, and he's watched a lot of Super Bowls. Let's talk Super Bowl. What do you think about 46?
I'll tell you what, I thought this was a great game. I know the casual fan will have something to say about it, or a sports writer like yourself who's seen them all might have something to say about it, but it gave you everything you want in a championship game. You had multiple momentum shifts. When the game started, you thought the Giants were just going to take the game away after the safety, after they scored. Then after the first drive in the third quarter, you thought, you know what, New England's about to blow this game wide open. So you saw lead changes, multiple momentum shifts, big hits. There was a series where Chung, the safety from New England, was just on fire, and I wonder what got into him during that series. I really enjoyed it, and most importantly, it came down to the last drive. How many times have we seen Super Bowls where the game was decided before the fourth quarter? This came down to the last drive. I thought it was a great game, and I appreciated the effort on both sides of the sideline.
Well, I'm one of those sports writers that didn't think it was a great game. I thought it was exciting. I thought it was close, but there were so many drop passes. I would have liked to see a little better running game. Mm-hmm. It was all about passing, two great quarterbacks. But I agree. I kept thinking, okay, Giants are going to win, Patriots are going to win, Giants are going to win, Patriots are going to come back. I even thought when they threw the Hail Mary at the end, yes, I thought we held our breath because we couldn't see the ball. All we saw was Gronkowski dive, and then all of a sudden everybody held their breath, and we saw the ball bounce away. And we knew the Giants had won it. But you can't get many Super Bowls to end on a Hail Mary, and that's why it was so exciting, such great TV ratings. One of the things people ask now, Eli Manning has one more Super Bowl victory than Peyton. He's beaten Tom Brady twice. Where is Eli Manning's place in history compared to Brady and Peyton, who are considered two of the top five ever?
Well, I think there's different levels of greatness, but you definitely could call Eli Manning great, and you could get his bus ready for Canton because I believe when it's all said and done, he will be in the Hall of Fame. But was he as great as Peyton Manning or Tom Brady? Tom Brady, no. I'll say no. Peyton Manning, you can argue because he has more hardware as of now than Peyton Manning. But when you look at Peyton Manning's stats, he doesn't compare to his older brother. So it just depends. Do you put more stock into stats, or do you put more stock into victories and leading your team to the big-time victories? Because the way Eli Manning plays during the playoffs, he's a different animal, and you have to give him the respect he deserves for the way he carries his team once they get into the playoffs.
I thought it's interesting. We have another team that's philosophy is to build through the draft. The Giants, Packers won the previous one. Theirs is built through the draft. Steelers, the previous one, built through the draft. That's the Texans' philosophy. Don't go out and blow all this money on free agents. What do you think about the way Jerry Reese, the general manager, has put together the Giants?
It's impressive. When you look at the people he didn't retain, when you look at the people he did retain, you have to be impressed. I thought Matthias Kiwanuka was on his way out because of all the pass rushers they have. But early in the show, we talked about you can't have too many pass rushers. They kept OC, even though when he ran his mouth early in the year, he was almost embarrassing the team, so I thought they were going to get rid of him. It showed up that they needed to keep him, and he paid huge dividends in the Super Bowl. Justin Tuck, Pierre-Paul. I mean, they have so many pass rushers, you think it would be okay for them to let one go, but they kept them all, and they all were factored on in this season. I thought he did a great job building through the draft, sticking to his draft picks. DJ Ware. How many people know DJ Ware, the third, fourth-string running back, big on special teams? He opened up the game. They threw a short pass to him. They handed the ball off to him. And now DJ Ware has 2 Super Bowl rings. All their wide receivers are draft picks. I really like the way they've built through the draft, and not only building through the draft, but they keep their players. It seems like in New England, and let's be real, New England's done everything right because you could argue whether or not they're part of a dynasty, but they've dominated for so long. But it just seems like New England's so quick to get rid of their guys. But New York, they're going to develop them. They're going to keep that nucleus intact, and there's a lot of guys on that team that now they just won their second Super Bowl.
Patriots were 31st in defense. They were 31st in pass defense, gave up second most yards in history. Tom Brady, 39 touchdowns, 5,235 yards, only threw 17 interceptions. But he doesn't have the home run hitter like he had with Randy Moss. He's got Wes Welker working out of the slot in the middle with the 122 catches, dropped a big pass. Then he's got the 2 tight ends. how imperative is it for them to get a big-time receiver can catch it? Is a threat to go all the way anytime?
Well, just ask Tom Brady. How much did he enjoy having Randy Moss when Randy Moss was there the first couple of years? I think to keep Tom Brady's productivity where it needs to be, they need to use those 2 first-round draft picks that they have, trade up, and either get the running back. I know you were talking about stretching the field with the wide receiver, but I also believe they need an explosive running back, Trent Richardson from Alabama, or go after one of those big-name wide receivers. I'm thinking more of a big body. I like the kid out of Baylor, but he's a smaller figure guy. He's kind of like a Wes Welker in stature, even though he has the speed to stretch the field. You know, go after the Floyd. I don't think even with the 2 first-round draft picks they could get high enough to get Blackman out of Oklahoma State, but I think it's time for them to go a little bit away from their playbook when it comes to draft and veteran acquisitions in the offseason and use those 2 first-round picks, move up, and get that explosive weapon for Tom Brady.
Now, you may disagree with this, but I wrote after the game because I noticed Brandon Jacobs kept saying, we're a great team. We've been a great team all along. I think they were great at the end, but overall you're not going to look back at this Giants team and say they were great. They're the only 9-7 team to win a Super Bowl, the only team that lost 4 in a row to win a Super Bowl, the only team that gave up more points than it scored to win a Super Bowl. So they got hot at the right time, but how could you call a team like that great? You know, there's a lot of great teams that were 15-1. How do you think history is going to look at this Giants team?
Well, I personally, it's all relative. If you win the Super Bowl, you're a great team. You know, they have something that no other team has. Did they get hot at the right time, or did they not let the pressure get to them like some of these great regular season teams? When you look at the Green Bay Packers, went 15-1, then they're 1 and done in the playoffs. Is that a great team, or is that just a great regular season team? If you win the Super Bowl, in my mind, in my humble opinion, you're a great team for that year. Now, I will argue whether they're one of the great Super Bowl winners, but as of right now, they are the best team in the NFL. That makes them great. They just weren't playing great early on in the season.